Uh, Good afternoon and good morning. Karabilsai, maybe Bezrat Hashem will start. Anybody that's not in pajamas is invited to make themselves seen. Um, okay, Bezrat Hashem, today I'd like to split this year into two parts. One part, Shiur on Baba Basra, the other part, Bezrat Hashem, some sort of a sicha on Yom Ha'atzmaut. This will be the Sikha on Yom Ha'atzmaut, part one. Part two, Bezrat Hashem, tomorrow, and it's also tomorrow, we'll split into part in Baba Basra and part on the topic of Yom Ha'atzmaut. Okay, let's start with Baba Basra, and at some point we'll switch. So yesterday, Rabbi in the Brisa we learned in the Gemara in Baba Basra Kaf Chav Gimel Beis, we learned the Brisa told us that in the event that there is a fellow a Yisrael that shechted an animal but didn't get around to giving the Zerah L'chaim and Keva to the Kohen yet, and that Kohen died, then the Bechor of the Kohen will get Pishnayim. The Gemara established that we're not talking about a case where the Zerah L'chaim and Keva was already given to the Kohen. Was in the event that it was already given to the Kohen, then there's no chidush that the Bechor would get Pishnayim. Rather, the case is where the Zerah L'chaim and Keva was not given to the Kohen, the father, before the father died. But in light of the fact that on a regular basis, this Yisrael was giving his matnos kahuna to this particular Kohen, a situation referred to as makire kahuna. Therefore, halacha says that the Kohen is considered to be muchzak in some shape, manner, or form, and therefore, since the Kohen father was considered to be muchzak, the Bechor will get pi shnayim. We started to discuss yesterday why in fact should this be so. Why would makire kahuna be considered to be muchzak, and that of course would require us to figure out what this concept of makire kahuna is all about. We pointed out that there seem to be three approaches on the sugya. We'll see that perhaps it's not really three distinct approaches. That's something that perhaps we'll get to tomorrow. The three distinct approaches, what seem to be three distinct approaches, are the following. A, the Rashbam by us, that the Rashbam seems to understand that in light of the fact that one has been giving his matnos kahuna to a particular Kohen for some amount of time, then there is clear intention on the part of the Yisrael to give those matnos kahuna to this Kohen. And despite the fact that there's no ma'aseh kinyan that has been done, that's the pashtus of the Rashbam, despite the fact that there's no actual ma'aseh kinyan that was done, the Rashash, by the way, also points out there's no actual ma'aseh kinyan that was done, but nevertheless, there are times when there is clear das, there's times when a kinyan can be chal without a ma'aseh kinyan. This is something which is pointed out by Tosfos and Taf Kof Chaf Amud Aleph in Exhibis, as we saw at the top of the sheet yesterday. The Gemara in Kedushin, I think it's Daf Tes, if I'm not mistaken. I think also there in Exhibis, Daf Kof Chaf Amud Aleph, in a section which I did not see, Rax, has the expression Hein Hein Hadvarim Haniknim Ba'amira. Hein Hein Hadvarim Haniknim Ba'amira. There's certain things which are Niknim Ba'amira. The actual context in Kedushin, as I said, I think it's the test. The actual context is the following: if you have the parents of the uh, uh, of some fellow and the parents of some girl that decide that their children are going to get married. The parents of the chassan and the parents of the kala, they each one says that he's going to give towards the marriage a certain sum of money, a certain objects, whatever it is, and then immediately after each one makes that commitment, they then do the kedushin. So the Gemara says that even though there's no proper ma'aseh kinyan done, hadvarim haniknim ba'amira. There's some clear Gemara's das, and therefore, even though there's no actual ma'aseh kinyan, nevertheless, they are bound by that. I should point out that Rashi on that Gemara in Kedushin does indicate something about that there is something as a sort of substitute for a ma'aseh kinyan. There's the hana that each side is getting from the fact that the other family is agreeing, the other set of parents are agreeing to the shidduch. And but at least the lashon of the Gemara is hein hadvarim nikram ba'amir. It sounds like the amira by itself does the trick. So you have this idea that when there's clear das, then that does generate a kinyan. Of course, this is the exception to the rule, because the rule is, as we said, as the Rambam writes, the beginning of Hilchos Mechira, hamekach eno nikna b'dvar. Such Rashbam's opinion that Makira Kuna does involve some sort of chalos kinyan, and thus the Zerah L'chaim and Keva, although it wasn't handed over to the Kohen father, nevertheless it did already belong to that Kohen, to that father. Then we had the Shita, and it belonged to the Kohen father in light of the Das that existed, in light of the assumption, the understanding that these Matnos Kuna would be given to this Kohen. We had Rashi in Gittin Daf Lamed, that understood that the basis of why this Zerah L'chaim Keva is considered to be muhzak is due to the fact that Matnos Kuna in general belong to the Kohanim. The second, I'm mafrish Trumos Maestros. The second that one has a Zerah L'chaim Keva that already belongs to the Shevet Kahuna. The thing is that normally speaking, there's no one particular Kohen that has any hold on those Matnos Kahuna. And in the event that I've been giving the Matnos Kahuna to a particular Kohen, the other Kohanim are Yaish. They give up any hope of getting it. And as if there's only one Kohen left in the world, as if the Shevet Kahuna is just that one individual, and thus that one individual will take possession of those Matnos Kuna of the Zerah L'chaim and Keva. Of course, what Rashi would share in common with that Rashbam is that both according to Rashbam and according to Rashi, the Kohen father had ownership. According to the Rashbam, he had ownership based on the Das, this unique opinion based on Das, based on the clear intention to give it to that Kohen. And on the other hand, according to Rashi and Gittin, Lashon Rashi and Gittin, if you saw, is that the other Kohanim are Mestiach Das. So Rashi doesn't explain exactly how this works. What the other Kohanim are Mestiach Das? Why does that make it belong to this Kohen? So the Achronim all explain that, that Matnos Kahuna belong to the Shevet Kahuna. Matnos Kahuna belong to the Shevet Kahuna, being that that's the case. So even before the other Kohanim Mesiach Das doesn't belong to Kohanim in general, till the other Kohanim Mesiach Das, then this particular Kohen doesn't have more control than any other Kohen, than other Kohanim. But in light of it being a Makira Kuna situation, the other Kohanim are Mesiach Das, and being that they're Mesiach Das, then it's as if there's only one Kohen in this world. I'll mention parenthetically, perhaps at some point we'll discuss it more. It is commonly assumed that Matnos Kuna belong to the Shevet Kahuna, but not all agree to that. The Kilos Yaakov in Baba Basra, in Siman Lamed Daled, I think the new editions, it's Siman Lamed Ches, points out that there might be some Rishonim that hold that Matnos Kuna are not necessarily, before they're actually given to a Kohen, they don't belong to the Shevet Kahuna. They might rather be Hefker, in a certain sense, Hefker LeKohanim, meaning that it doesn't belong to anybody. It's something which can be given to any Kohen, but it's not owned yet by the Kohanim. This type writes that within the opinion of the Ksos, he suggests Machlokas Yishonim. There's a Machlokas Yishonim in Chulin. I think it's Daf Kuf Lamed. If one is Mazik Matnos Guna, if I damage Matnos Guna before they were given to a Kohen, let's say I would destroy my Zrola Chaim and Keva. So am I Chayav, let's say Siyadei Shamayim? I'm a good Jew. I wasn't a good Jew when I damaged those Matnos Guna. But if I damage those Matnos Guna, is it the proper thing for me to go to some Kohen and give him the value of that Matnos Guna? So Tosfos indicates that yes, there's some Ram that indicates that not. And this type of suggests that perhaps the machlokas is about whether a matnos kuna, before they're actually given to a kohen, do we say that it does belong to the shevet kuna? That and if that would be the case, then certainly let's say sidei shamayim, one would need to pay some kohen. No particular kohen can take him to the court. Of course, it's mamon she'ein lo tov in. No particular kohen can claim it. But in any case, it would be proper for me to pay let's say sidei shamayim. If in fact we say that matnos kuna belong to the shevet kahuna, but if one would say that matnos kuna in a certain sense are hefker for all kohan, are a certain sense hefker, then I would not need to pay let's say sidei shamayim. But in any case, so Rashi is of the opinion, which is understandable, that matnos kuna belong to the shevet kahuna, and being that's the case, so if the other kohanim Masiach does, and other kohanim they give up hope of getting any part of those matnos kuna of Zrol Chaim and Keva, and there's only one kohen that does expect to get it, then it belongs to that one kohen. That's how Rashi seems to understand Makir Kuna. The third opinion that we said, in a certain sense, the one that that's most enigmatic and we'll spend some amount of time discussing more, is Tosfos by us. Tosfos by us says that the concept of Makir Kuna is based on the concept of Matana Mu'etes. The Gemara Bava Metzia, Adaf Memtes, says that if I say I'm going to give you a Matana Mu'etes, then in fact, halacha says that I'm not allowed to back out. And Tosfos says Makir Kuna works based on the fact that Makir Kuna is somewhat similar to Matana Mu'etes, similar in the sense that the Israel has an obligation to hand over the matnos kuna. He can't keep it for himself. I mean that he can't keep it for himself. Therefore, for him, it's not a significant loss to hand over the matnos kuna. And halacha says that if I promise to give somebody a matana mu'etes, then in fact, I'm obligated to give it to him. Now, what's the nature of that obligation to hand over matana mu'etes is something that we will, Bezrat Hashem, discuss. We'll just point out that the simple reading of that Gemara in Bava Metzia, a Gemara which hopefully we'll look at soon, is that there's no kinyan that is involved. It's just some sort of moral obligation. If I said I'm going to give you matana, there's a moral obligation. So it would seem, at first glance, that Tosfos would be of the opinion that if there's a moral obligation for one to give something to an individual, in this particular case to Mr. Cohen, then if Mr. Cohen should die, then the Bukhar would get Pi Shnayim. And along similar lines, the Ksos is Machadesh, that if, in Rish Ayin Ches, that you had on yesterday's sheet, that if in fact one promises, one swears to give a individual some gift, if I swore that I would give Harry some gift, whether it be expensive or inexpensive. Over here, after all, we're talking where I swore. If I swore that I would give Harry a certain gift and Harry dies, then the Bukhar would get Pi Shnayim. Now, Chornim point out that this is wild in light of the fact that the Shavua doesn't generate any monetary obligation. The obligation to fulfill a Shavua is an obligation between me and God. And thus the fact that I swore to give something to Harry doesn't mean that Harry has any ownership on that whatsoever. Therefore, to say that Harry is considered to be muhsak, to say that when Harry dies, the Bukhar will get Pi Shnayim, that is something which is very far out, which Bezrat Hashem we will discuss. But the Ksos says, hey, don't look at me, look at Tosfos. Tosa, after all, says that the concept of Makire Kuna is based on Matan Mu'etes. And Matan Mu'etes doesn't seem to involve any Kinyan. After all, the Gemara indicates in Bab Metzia Memtes that Matan Mu'etes, one can be Choser. One is not meant to be Choser. It's improper to be Choser, but legally one has the ability to be Choser, which would seem to point to the fact that Matan Mu'etes does not involve any Kinyan. So Matan Mu'etes doesn't involve any Kinyan, and one could be Choser. And our Gemara indicates that Makir Kuna, which Tosa says is based on Matan Mu'etes, does cause the Kohen father to be Mochzak, the Bechor get Pishnayim. What didn't, says the Ktos, if one swears he would give Harry a gift, then the same din would apply. How one would perhaps be able to knock off that diuk of the Ktos in Tosfos is something which is still a little bit far down the road. But in any case, so for our purposes now, I just want this is just a summary of what we talked about yesterday. 3 seemingly distinct approaches in how Makir Kuna works. Rashi Pam, based on there being firm Gemir's Das, which somehow generates a Kinyan. Rashi and Gittin, based on the fact that the other Kohanim Mesiach Das from this Matnos Kuna, and Matnos Kuna, after all, do belong to the Shevet Kuna, but the other Kohanim Mesiach Das, so Mila belongs to this one Kohen. And thirdly, Tosfos by us that says Makir Kuna is based on Matan Mu'etes. What's unique about this opinion is that there doesn't seem to be any proper Maisa Kinyan. Okay. Now, Bezrat Hashem, what I'd like to discuss today a little bit is perhaps to take a look at the Sugya in Gittin a bit more, and to perhaps take a look at the Sugya in Baba Metzia, time allowing, maybe to get a little bit more into Tosfos. So now we've had enough of Baba Basra. We've been learning Baba Basra already now for 2.5 days. Let's now switch to Maseches Gittin. So I'd like to take a brief look at that sugya over there. You guys are able to, I'm going to try this. I hope I won't regret it. I'm going to try to get to that sugya. And are you guys able to split your screen and look at the Gemara in Gittin easily? Even if you're muted, please nod or shake your head. Or you're able to look at the sugya in Gittin.
Maybe some people can, some people can't. It's harder for people who are doing it on their phones.
This again. 1 second, please. I'm going to call my technical assistant. 1 second, please. So,
you shut them instead of wait. What? No, we'll open them in a minute. He's sharing the screen instead of you.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yes, that's what I went to.
So I'm stopping.
Yeah.
You must have fixed the file instead of.
Okay. Thank you forever, Yisrael. Thanks for putting on the sugya in Gittin. Okay. The Mishnah is slightly confusing. I think it's worthwhile for us to spend some time on the Mishnah due to the fact that that sugya is very relevant to understanding Makir Kuna, and B, there's also some halacha lemaisa ramification of that sugya. Okay. In any case, so the Mishnah in Gittin there speaks of the following. Let's say I lend money to a Kohen, a Levi, or an Ani. But those individuals, let's say they don't have enough money to pay back. So we make the following deal. We state that I agree with the Kohen. Let's stick to the Kohen. I agree with the Kohen that the payment for that debt, I lent the Kohen $100. The payment for the debt will come in the form of my keeping Trumos Umaisers, or the Trumos. After all, Kohen is entitled to Truma. So I agree with the Kohen that instead of my giving the Truma to any particular Kohen, I lent him $100. So the next $100 worth of Truma, I'll keep for myself as payment for that debt. So that's what the Mishnah says, how mal b'ma'os es ha-kohen v'es ha-levi v'es ha-ani lios mafrish alein michelkan mafrish alein b'cheskas shein kayam. So that deal is an acceptable deal, and I have the right to assume that that Kohen exists, meaning let's say I lent a Kohen $100, and now I don't know what's doing with that Kohen. For all I know, that Kohen is dead. And if that Kohen died, then of course I'm not allowed to collect the debt from him based on my keeping Truma. And therefore the Mishnah is mechadesh that I don't need to be choshesh that that Kohen died. So that's called mal b'mos zakonim v'salevi v'sa'ani. Lios mafresh aleim michelka. Okay. Just the Gemara discusses the following issue. I lent money to Joe Cohen. Now, the next day, I mafresh some truma, and I want to keep that truma as payment that I'm entitled to for the debt that I owe Joe Cohen. So the Mishnah indicates I'm allowed to do so. But hey, why in the world am I allowed to do so? After all, asks the Gemara, the Gemara asks that true in the event that I took that truma, which I was mafresh the next day, and I handed it over to Joe Cohen, then Joe Cohen could hand it back to me, and that would be legitimate payment for the debt. But if Joe Cohen didn't take possession, didn't actually acquire that truma, which was mafresh the next day, then that truma doesn't belong specifically to Joe Cohen, it belongs to Shevet Kahuna in general. And thus, I don't have the right to keep that truma as payment for money which I lent to Joe Cohen. Furthermore, if I never actually gave the money to any particular Cohen, I never gave it to Joe Cohen, some other Cohen, then I have not fulfilled the mitzvah of Nesinas Truma. So ask the Gemara, Avagav lo asu liyadeh. This works. This is effective. This is permissible, even if it never reached the Kohen's hands. Even if it didn't reach the Kohen's hands. Rashi points out, it didn't reach the Kohen's hands, that I'm not a Mekayim mitzvah of Nesina. And further, the Kohen doesn't have the right to, I don't have the right to keep that Truma as payment for the debt which Joe Cohen owes me. Parenthetically, let me mention, what in heaven's name would I do with Truma? Let's say I keep the Truma as payment debt. What am I going to do with Truma? I'm not a Kohen. Answer, if I own Truma, I can sell it to a Kohen. I can sell it to a Kohen. Normally, of course, one can't sell his Truma to a Kohen because I'm obligated to give it to a Kohen for free. But in the event that some Kohen gives me Truma as a gift, then of course I can sell it to other Kohanim. So the Gemara asks, Apagav lo asu liyadeh, and the Gemara has a number of answers. The answer which interests us now, Amarav makire kuno levia. We're talking about a situation where I've been giving my Trumas Maisus to Joe Cohen for a number of years, for some amount of time, and therefore what? Therefore, even before I gave these Truma to the Kohen, it already belongs to him, and thus he's able to, he was in effect, took possession of it, and thus I'm allowed to keep it as payment for that debt. So again, what happened over here? I lent $100 to Joe Cohen on Yom Rishon, and he didn't have, I lent sometime in the past $100 to Joe Cohen. and he's not going to have money. We're afraid he's not going to have money even at the time of the due date. So we have this arrangement that whenever the debt is meant to be paid, then how will the debt be paid? The debt will be paid by keeping the truma of Joe Cohen. Truma, which in theory I would be giving to Joe Cohen. Says the Gemara, but how does this work? This could only work if that truma, which I later separate, will belong to Joe Cohen. Says the Gemara, no problem. We're talking about makirei kuna. If it's makirei kuna, then the second I mafresh that truma, then in a certain sense, it's in possession of Joe Cohen, and Joe Cohen has the ability to sell me that truma. So Joe Cohen was in possession of that truma in a certain sense due to the fact it's makirei kuna. Now, the Achronim point out that this Gemara would seem to indicate that makirei kuna does involve some sort of kinyan, because after all, if makirei kuna involves some sort of kinyan, then we understand that the second I was mafresh that truma, then the truma belongs to Joe Cohen. I fulfilled the mitzvah of Nesina, and Joe Cohen can sell me back in effect. He doesn't need to actually do so because we have this agreement which we already made that he's going to sell me the truma, and then I'll keep that truma as payment. So if makirei kuna is a kinyan, then wonderful. If makirei kuna is not a kinyan, then we're back to where we started. I was mafresh truma, and in theory, I meant to give it to Joe Cohen. But hey, if Joe Cohen wasn't somehow kona it, then I have not fulfilled mitzvahs nesina, and I can't keep it as a payment for the debt that specific Kohen owes me. So in fact, Rashi here does explain that there is some sort of kinyan involved. Rashi does say, as we have on the right side of Yisrael Baal Sham's screen, which is what we're all looking at now. So askhi lehu shar kohanim da'atayu, the other Kohanim Mashiach das, v'avalei kaman dematu liyadayu da'ani. As if it reached those particular Kohanim. Okay, let me point out this concept of makirei kuna is, or this arrangement that the Mishnah speaks of, is particularly relevant for the following reason. It's particularly relevant, halacha l'maisa. Why is it important, halacha l'maisa? When's the last time we lent money to Kohanim that were poor, that wouldn't be able? Well, it's halacha l'maisa all the time for the following reason. Let's say I have in my backyard some tree, some fruits and vegetables that are vadai tevel. And every day for breakfast, I pick some oranges, and I'm mafresh trumos and maestros, and have some oranges for breakfast. So every morning when I'm mafresh trumos and maestros, so I have to find some Kohen, some Levi, and give them the trumos and maestros. Nowadays, by the way, of course, trumos we don't, but Maser Rishon, if it's vadai tevel, Maser Ani, if it's vadai tevel, we're meant to give. So every time I have a number of oranges, I'm going to find an Ani to give them those oranges. That might be a little bit of a pain. By the time the Ani shows up, then the oranges might spoil. So the arrangement that is suggested by the poskin is that in fact one lends money to a particular Ani or to some charity. Yad Eliezer and other charities have such an arrangement. One lends money to some charity with the understanding being that I will give some money to Yad Eliezer, give 100 shekel to Yad Eliezer, with the stipulation that every time I have Master Ani, I will be mizakeh somehow that Master Ani to Yad Eliezer, with the understanding that the second I'm mizakeh to Yad Eliezer, then I'm able to be kona it back from them and use it as payment for the debt. Okay, so in that case, so we've learned in the Sugin Gittin is that the Sugin Gittin indicates that makirei kuna is an effective way of one fulfilling the mitzvah nesina And the implication is, as the Achronim point out, that a Makir Kuna is sufficient basis for the Kohen taking possession of those Trumos Mises. Okay, now let's switch to the
Rebbe?
Yes.
How is the Yish, which the other Kohanim have a kinyan?
I'm sorry?
How is the Yish, the other Kohanim have a kinyan that's being made for this Kohen?
Another Kohanim is Yaish, and let's say there was only one Kohen in this world. Let's say there was only one Kohen in this world. So the second Amafrish Truma then would belong to that one Kohen, right? So if there's a million Kohanim in this world, but all the Kohanim except for one are Misyaish, then it's as if there's only one Kohen in this world, and thus that one Kohen would be the sole representative of the Shevet Kahuna, and thus would be Kohen. Right?
And that's the paramount of a Maisa Kinyan that would work for allow me to be able to keep the Truma. Does that mean that works so much to make it?
That's what is assumed. That's what's assumed. Yeah. We might discuss that a little bit more now when we get back to Tosos. That's what is assumed.
Rabbi.
Yes, sir.
So that Hafrosha is almost a Maisa Kinyan.
Well, the Hafrosha, yes and no. Well, in effect, yes. And the Hafrosha makes it into Truma. Once it's Truma, it belongs to the Shevet Kahuna. And the minor effect belongs to Shevet Kahuna, and all the other Kohanim, they fall away in a certain sense. So if there's just one Kohen in the Shevet Kahuna, and Mamela belongs to him. Right?
Right, so but if I was Mafresh...
Yeah, belongs to the Kohen. I'm sorry?
Sorry.
So there's no particular Maisa Kingdom, but the very fact that make it into Truma, that makes it belong to the Kohanim, to the Shevet Kahuna, and if the other Kohanim, they're Messiahish, Mamela, that one Kohen takes the ownership. Okay.
So by the Shevet Kahuna, we mean that if I separate my Trumas and Maishas out, and 5 Kohanim come over and take some of them, that is in theory mutter.
Not necessarily, because Yisrael has what's called Tovas Hana'ah. He has the right to decide who to give it to. But nevertheless...
Right, but if he was Tovas, if he allowed all 5 of them to have it, that would be mutter. That's enough of a Maisa Kinyan.
He would allow all 5 of them to have it, right? If it's Makir Kuna, then perhaps he can't have all 5 have it. He has to give it to whoever he's been giving it to.
Fine.
Okay. Now switching to the sugya in Bab Metzia, which we'll look at least briefly, because I do want to get to Yom Ha'atzmaut. You know what? Let's take a brief look at the sugya in Bab Metzia. We'll see. If necessary, we'll do it more tomorrow. Yeah, okay. So Yisrael, polish of screen. Hopefully now, Yisrael, if you can switch to Bab Metzia. Thank you. Okay. Yisrael, you're getting Bab Metzia ready? Yisrael, you're okay. Thank you so much. Okay, the Gemara Bab Metzia talks about the concept. The Gemara Bab Metzia is the source for the concept of matana mu'etes. Of course, understanding what matana mu'etes is critical for our understanding of Tosos, Shita, and Makir Kuna. Let me point out the Gemara Bab Metzia says nothing about Makir Kuna. There is some element in the Sugya and Bab Metzia which some say is related to a Makir Kuna, but that is still down the road. So the topic of the Sugya in Gittin we saw was spoke about Makir Kuna. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, there's 2 places where Makir Kuna is mentioned in Shas. A, Bab Vasar Kov Chav Gimel, and B, Gittin Daf Lamed Amud Aleph. The concept of Matana Mu'etes is mentioned in Shas there in Bab Metzia, Daf Mem Tes Amud Aleph. I don't know if it has other places where it's mentioned. So De'itmar says the Gemara in Bab Metzia, Dvarim, respect to words. If I just said I was going to give you something. Rav Amar, Ein Be'em Mishum Chosar Amana, Rav Yochanan Amar Yesh Be'em Mishum Chosar Amana. Can you guys see the pointer that I'm pointing? Is that a yes? No? Whatever. Mm-hmm. So we're reading the Gemara in Bab Metzia in side. Rav says that if I said I was going to give you something and I don't give it, so I'm not considered to be an untrustworthy person. But Rav Yochanan says I'm considered to be an untrustworthy person. Thank you. Okay. So the Gemara then asked, Masav Rav Yosef Rav Yuda, Masav Rav Yosef Yuda Omer Matam Lomar Hein Sedek. The pasuk says Hein Sedek Yelecha. So the Gemara says, "V'lo hein b'chlal eifa." The Torah already said eifas tzedek, and hin is smaller than an eifa, so hin is included in the eifa. That your hein and lab should be righteous, meaning that if you say you're going to do something, you need to follow up on it. So Amar Abaya, meaning that Rab, who says that Ein Be'em Mishum Chosra Amana, would say that what the pasuk is telling us is that I shouldn't say I plan on giving you something if I don't plan on giving it to you. What if I did? At the time when I said I was going to give you something, I did plan on giving it to you. Just later, I had some reason to change my mind. Later, I realized that some other friend of mine needs it very badly, or I decided that I need it for myself. Then Rab says there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, we're now going to skip the parentheses, go down till after the parentheses in line 16. As the Gemara, Miyamar Rab Yochanan Hachi, Va'amar Rabba Yochanan, Ha'omer L'chaver Matana Nochlin Yochel Achseblo. Yochel asks the Gemara, Pshita that I could back out. And it's pashut that there's no legal obligation which would transfer that ownership. Ella mutar lachzeba. So on one hand, we had Rabbi Yochanan at the beginning of the sugya saying that the dvarim, that just words, if one backs out, he's considered to be mechusar, lacking amana, lacking trustworthiness. But over here, we have Rabbi Yochanan saying that if one says he's going to give to his friend a present, then not only yochol lachzerbo, not only legally can be choser, but even mutter lachzerbo. It's mutter for him to back out. So it's still within Rabbi Yochanan. Rav Papa, Rabbi Yochanan etes. So Rav Papa explains. The Achronim point out, you have in the Gilyon Hashas, the rest left of the Gemara, that the word moda over here is a little bit confusing. What the Gemara means is that Rav Papa is telling us Rabbi Yochanan would distinguish between a large gift, if I said I would give you an expensive gift, and if I say I'm going to give you a not so expensive gift. If I said I'm going to give you a very expensive gift, then if I back out, I'm not considered to be mechusar amana. I'm not considered to be an untrustworthy person, due to the fact that you realize that there's a good chance that I'm going to reconsider. You realize that I probably just meant that I'm thinking about giving it to you. But by a matana mu'etes, it is there that Rabbi Yochanan said that one is not allowed to be choser. So in any case, what emerges from the Gemara is that when is it Rabbi Yochanan said that one is mechusar amana, when am I considered to be untrustworthy if I back out? In the event that I said I would give you a matana mu'etes. A matana of something which isn't that expensive. Now, there was some page that I sent out today, which if you saw it, great. If not, so just listen ba'al peh. I wrote at the top of that page, at the top of that chart, matana mu'etes. Does it involve a kinyan? Does not involve a kinyan? When I say I'm going to give you a matana mu'etes, so then does that generate a kinyan or not? So based on the simple reading of the Gemara in Bava Metzia, would we guess that it does generate a kinyan? So probably we guess that not. Why would we guess that it doesn't generate a kinyan? What indication is there in the Gemara Bava Metzia that it doesn't generate a kinyan? Anybody?
Because you could still back out.
You can still back out. Thank you. It said the Gemara said that a pshita that yochol lachzer bo that pshita yochol lachzer bo due to the fact that there was no kinyan. Just the Gemara says if it's a matan ruba, then mutter lachzer, implying that a matan muetes also lachzer. The distinction between matan ruba and matan muetes is whether mutter or aser, not whether yachal or eno yachal. The Gemara took us a different posture that one could certainly always be choser. So, and the fact that one is yachal lachzer would seem to point to the fact that there's no kinyan which has taken place. Furthermore, there's no Maisa kinyan. There's no Maisa kinyan. Therefore, one would guess that there's no transfer of ownership that has taken place. So the Lashon and also the Gemara in Bava Metzia didn't say a word about a kinyan. So the simple reading of the Gemara in Bava Metzia is that there's no actual chalos kinyan which takes place when I say I'm going to give you a matana mu'etes. And being that that's the case, if Makira Kuna is based on the concept of matana mu'etes, as Tosus says by us, then one would guess that a Makir Kuna does not involve a kinyan. If Makir Kuna doesn't involve a kinyan, then we have Tosus Tangas, this wild chiddush, which the Ktsos built upon, that if, in fact, one swore that he would give a present to somebody else, to Harry, and Harry dies, then the Bechor of Harry would get Pi Shnai. Okay. So we've looked briefly at the Sugan and Gittin, we've looked briefly at the Gemara and Bava Metzia, and we pointed out that it would seem that Matan Mu'etes does involve a kinyan. Here are both sides. So here's the end of, where we end part one of the Shiur, and then begin our, begin our Sikha for Yom HaAtzmaut.